The stocks and shares ISA is a fantastic way to build up wealth, and you may have heard of Vanguard as they're one of the main providers of the stocks and shares ISA. But just how good is the Vanguard stocks and shares ISA? Well, today that's what I'm going to be reviewing and kind of walking you through so you can make a decision on whether the Vanguard stocks and shares ISA is right for you. So first and foremost, one of the biggest questions that you have when risking any sort of money or when investing anything is how secure is your money? Is it secure within a Vanguard stocks and shares ISA? So the answer is yes, your money is secure. Vanguard stocks and shares ISAs are secured under the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. So this essentially means that up to £85,000 of your money is completely secure, and if Vanguard were to go under for whatever reason, or they were unable to kind of fill what they meant to do, their service to you, then they will repay up to £85,000. Also, Vanguard they're one of the kind of original proponents of investing, and as you can see, yes, I'm using Wikipedia as a source here, but they've been set up since 1975. And as of kind of January 2020, they were managing 6.2 trillion assets. And I believe they're within the top kind of 3 to 5 financial companies in the entire world. So in theory, your money is pretty secure. So next, what can you invest in? In case you don't know, with a Vanguard stocks and shares ISA, you can only invest in Vanguard funds. So this kind of is one limitation of the Vanguard stocks and shares ISA, in that you can't invest in like individual stocks necessarily, but instead you have to invest through kind of ETFs, that is exchange traded funds and blended funds, and like target date retirement funds. There's a whole host of different things, so we'll just kind of pick out some of the funds here. Now, of course, with the vast majority of these funds, you can use these and invest in these with other providers as well, but Vanguard, I mean, like the whole point with them is that they're low costs, and we'll go through the costs and the fees in more detail later. But because they provide such a low cost service, they exclusively allow you to invest in their products. So down here you've got different Lifestrategy funds. These are one of their most popular products that you can invest in, and personally they are what I invest in as well. So essentially how these work is they kind of, so you've got different, it says cautious, moderate, aggressive, and aggressive here. So the percentages here, so you've got 20% of equity, 80% in bonds here, 40% equity, 60% in bonds, 60% equity. So essentially, you know, the more risky that you're going for here, the more of your kind of portfolio is going to be invested into stocks and shares. Pretty much that's what this means. But with these, it kind of puts them across various different ETFs. So these Lifestrategy funds are made up of a variety of different ETFs. So if we look at the Lifestrategy 100, for example, you can kind of see what it's made up of, and it's made up of lots of different ETFs, currently £258.44. This is what it looks like. So it shows you all about all the different information. So you've got the different performance here, past performance from year on year. You can see how much it's grown by. You can see how much is invested in it when the fund started, and like what the charge is as well as what the risk is. So it's nice and easy to make a decision on whether this is going to be right for you. And then you can see on here the asset allocation is 100% equity. So I'm pretty sure if we go into the distributions, so that will show you whether it gets a dividend at the moment, and at the moment I don't think it does. It doesn't have a dividend at the moment because it reinvests the dividends into the fund so that it can gain more and grow more over time. So if we go into here, this is how the Lifestrategy fund is made up. I'm not going to go through this with all of them. I'm just showing you as an example of kind of what it looks like when you're actually on the platform. So 19.5%, 5% is put into the US equity fund, so a variety of US stocks. 19.3% is put into the UK all share index unit trust, so again a variety of UK companies. You've then got 19.3% into ex-UK equity index, so that's kind of stocks outside of the UK. 13% into the S&P 500. This is the largest 500 companies in America in their stock index, and then it's kind of broken up step by step. So, and again, you can go into these individual funds and kind of see what is made up with, what like those are made up of, what companies are made up of, make up those individual funds. But basically here, the Lifestrategy funds are brilliant because you can put, say, like £100 in it, and you get all of these by just putting £100 in. So you get like £19.50 would go into this one, £19.30 would go into this one, etc, etc. So that's basically one of the funds. And then in terms of the other ones that you can see here, they're just loading, and they're nice and easily categorized. One of the things I do like about the Vanguard Stocks and Shares ISA is just how easy it is to navigate. It's through their website itself. So whenever you go onto the Stocks and Shares ISA to manage your investments, you have to use their website. Unfortunately, they do not have an app at this stage, which, you know, compared to some of the other platforms is a bit of a disadvantage, but it means that everything's kept in one place. It's nice and simple. You don't have anything too clunky to use. And because you don't have like thousands of funds to invest in, it does make things nice and simple. You've also got target date retirement funds here. Every 5 years, you can put them in different dates. So basically they just mean that, say you pick 2065, then right now, if you put like £100 into there, 79% of that would be put into stocks and shares, and then 20% would be put into bonds. The closer that you get to 2065, the greater the percentage shifts. So it automatically changes from stocks towards bonds, so that by the time you reach your retirement, in theory, you get less fluctuation. And it also says on here whether they're actively managed or not. So on here you've got the Global Balanced Fund, which is an actively managed fund, and as you can see, the charges here are a bit higher, 0.48%. In theory, you should get more from that, but it kind of depends, I suppose. And these are just some of the other funds. So this is all the equity. So they're again categorized by geographical location. So these are the stocks, ETFs, and index funds within Europe. And you can see the different risks. You can see what the allocation is in terms of the equity and bonds, and also the ongoing charge. So it's nice and clear. All the information that you need is in one place. And if you need more, you can kind of go into it in more detail to find out exactly what it is. So as I said, I personally prefer using the Lifestrategy funds because you get a bit of a mix of all of these. But if you kind of look at it and say, okay, well, I really want to invest the vast majority of my money into this, it's nice and easy to pick your fund. And then you've got, again, some UK ones, some ones in Japan, Asia, USA, and emerging markets. And then you have, fixed income. So these are more like your bonds. So again, if you are maybe wanting to kind of have less risk within your portfolio, then you could have some bonds in there as well. So again, you've got global bonds, European bonds, UK bonds, Japanese bonds, US bonds, and then emerging markets. So it's fairly kind of comprehensive in terms of what you can invest in. There's a lot on there. I think there's 74 different funds. If you're looking to invest into individual companies, if you want to do a lot of different research into individual companies that you think are going to grow enormously over time, then the Vanguard Stocks and Shares ISA is probably not for you because you are limited on what you can invest in. However, if you're like me and you don't want to have the headache of having to do like thousands of hours of research and constantly monitoring your portfolio to see whether there's massive changes or, you know, whether it's kind of coasting along, then probably the Vanguard Stocks and Shares ISA is for you because you can just kind of invest, forget it. You can also in terms of like your investment style, you can automate it so that you have a regular investment, which is nice and easy. It's more for the hands-off investor, I would say, because of the limited amount of funds, but you kind of get a cheaper account as a result. When we look at, I'm going to go through a bit of a walkthrough now, show you what it exactly looks like when you have the Stocks and Shares ISA open. So this is what the homepage looks like on the Vanguard website. And then if we go onto my account, this is what the account looks like when you have your Stocks and Shares ISA open. So as you can see here, this is like your overview page. It's nice and clear. It has very nice headings on, you know, what exactly is what. So under your ISA allowance, that explains exactly how much you have left to invest within that tax year. So Obviously you have 20,000 maximum, but if you're using other ISAs as well, like externally, it won't update. So for example, if you have like a lifetime ISA externally, then you could only invest £16,000 per year into the Vanguard Stocks and Shares ISA. But so it would still say that you have 4,000 left, even though technically you've reached your limit. So just be careful of that. And then in terms of your investments, it explains what you're invested in and how much you've got in there as in terms of your largest holding. And then you've got your percentage return here. If you want to transfer an ISA in from elsewhere into this one, they allow you to do that very easily. Just go onto the transfer ISA button down here. And also something that is worth mentioning, that if you do want to transfer your ISA out from Vanguard, there's no fees associated with that. And that's very easy to do as well, because some providers will charge you for leaving your account and transferring it elsewhere, but Vanguard does not do that. So with this, you've got last transaction and also how much cash you've got. So when you go onto your actual investments, this kind of shows in like your features. It shows what percentage allocation you've got invested in each thing, how much is invested in what, and then you can go onto the different tabs. So you've got like performance here. It explains exactly how much you've put in, how much that you're kind of getting as a return, and it shows a nice graph over time, and you can kind of adjust that so that you can see, say you wanted to see a specific period in time, you can do that. You can see calculations and your different tax, your charges. As you can see, I've been charged £8.12 over the last year, which is very, very minimal. So that's not too bad, perfectly happy with that. And then you've got this insight tab over here, which is really, really useful. So especially when you're like invested into ETFs, index funds, it's interesting to see a breakdown of kind of how your investments lie. Because if you were in like an individual kind of stocks portfolio, you'd have like 20% in Tesla, 10% in Amazon as an example. Whereas here you can see, so I've got 65% in blended, 31% in equity, and then 4% in cash. And it also says which geographical locations you're most kind of heavy in. So, you know, if you're more confident about Asia or, you know, about America going forwards, then you would probably want to see these percentages to be the highest here, and you can kind of see the breakdown there. And that's the good thing about Vanguard, is that you can be invested all around the world with very little costs. And again, you can see the top 10 investments. So again, these are all within the kind of blended funds for the most part, and I've also got the high dividend yield ETF as well. And then also you've got your sector allocation, with which sectors you're most heavily in, and your performance as well. So it's nice and easy. With payments, you can, like, as I said, you can schedule regular payments so that they come out with your direct debit every month, and you can do pound cost averaging or dollar cost averaging, whatever you want to call it, so that your money comes out of your account each month straight into the funds. You don't even need to think about it. It's automatically doing it, and it means that you can kind of get the highs and the lows, and you're not too exposed to huge price fluctuations over the long term. Transactions allows you to see all of the different things that have happened within your account, and secure messages. So that is a really, really good point when you're communicating with customer service and that sort of thing. If you have any questions about your account, or you're stuck, or you need some help, you can go onto the secure messages, write a message, and someone will get back to you normally within a couple of days. I've had to do that a couple of times, and they have been really, really good at getting back to me. So what I would say is that it is very, very simple to use. I like how it's easy, it's not clunky, you don't have an overwhelming amount of features, it's nice in its simplicity. So going on to the costs and the fees, this is where Vanguard excels, and this is where they pride themselves on. Vanguard has always been a proponent of being very, very low cost and at the bottom level of the costing structure in comparison to some of its competitors. You can see on here the kind of costs of investing with Vanguard is you've got the ongoing cost, transaction costs, and one-off costs, plus the account fee, and that basically is it overall. So the account fees are very, very low, 0.15% per year. The ongoing fund costs, they're the ones that we've been seeing kind of going down when I look through all the different funds. And again, they're generally pretty low, because unless you're going into a more actively managed fund, then the ongoing cost is probably going to be a bit higher. Transaction costs, again, these are minimal, and one-off costs and you don't get any interest as well for kind of holding cash within the stocks and shares ISA. So down here, I know it's a bit difficult to read, so I do apologize, but you can see the cost of investing in different funds, and almost all of them are in the 0.3, 0.2%, and then you've got a few in 0.4 or 0.5%. So it is very, very low cost, and I think for me, this is why I kind of invested in it. It's what attracted me to Vanguard in the first place. I mean, I'm very cheap, I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty careful with my money. I don't like to spend it on costs and fees where I can avoid it. So that's why I picked Vanguard. But what are my overall thoughts? Well, I really, really do like Vanguard as a platform. I think it's very easy to use. I think to be better and to improve it, it might be nice to have an app, because it is slightly annoying. Like if you want to kind of check your portfolio on the go, you have to go into a web browser, log in on there. But I mean, that's just me being, I don't know, that's just me making minor complaints really. It is very, very easy to use, and you can kind of invest your funds pretty easy, and you don't have to do a huge amount of research. I like how there is a kind of limited choice in a way. I quite like that, but some people won't. But I mean, in the future, maybe when I get a bit more confident in investing in a broader range of things, and you know, when I want to diversify maybe a little bit more, I might choose a different platform. But for me right now, this is a really, really good beginner platform to kind of find my feet, invest my funds, and hopefully grow my wealth over the long term. So what do you guys think about the Vanguard Stocks and Shares ISA? Are you going to be opening one? Do you think that this is for you? Let me know down in the comments. I hope that this has been useful for you, and I will see you in the next video.